In a small village nestled deep within a valley, there lived a young man named Thean. Themian was a kind and good-hearted person, but his life was filled with hardships. Despite his best efforts, he couldn't escape poverty and a series of misfortunes. One day, Thean encountered an old monk on his way. The monk saw through Thean's suffering and said, "My son, what you're experiencing is the result of your past actions. Karma is a cycle of cause and effect. You reap what you sow." Thean was surprised and asked, "Master, but I've never done anything bad. Why do I have to endure these sufferings?" The monk smiled and said, "My son, karma doesn't only come from actions in this life, but also from past lives. Perhaps in the past you did things that weren't good, and now you have to bear the consequences." Thean pondered the monk's words. He realized that even though he didn't remember his past lives, what he was experiencing had its reasons. He decided to change his life by living virtuously, helping others, and practicing the Buddhist teachings. From then on, Thean began doing good deeds, helping those in need, and cultivating his mind and character. He understood that no matter what the past was like, he could create a better future with his present actions. Years passed, and Thean became a respected man. He was no longer poor, but lived a peaceful and happy life. He understood that karma wasn't a punishment, but an opportunity to learn and grow. One day, Thean met the old monk again. He smiled and said, "My son, you've understood the meaning of karmic connections. You've changed your life with good deeds. Continue your path of practice and helping others, and you will find enlightenment." Thean clasped his hands in gratitude to the monk and continued his path of practice. He understood that life is a series of karmic connections, and every action has an impact on the future. He vowed to live a virtuous life, creating good karmic connections for himself and those around him. After Thean passed away, his soul wandered in the intermediate realm, awaiting reincarnation. He looked back on his life, feeling content with the good deeds he had done, but he also realized that there was still a lingering attachment in his heart, an unfinished karmic connection. Meanwhile, in another village, there lived a young woman named Anne. Anixa was intelligent and beautiful, but she always felt lonely and empty. She didn't understand why she had this feeling, even though she was surrounded by many who loved her. One night, Anne dreamed of a strange man with a kind face and warm eyes. In the dream, the man said to her, "Anne, we have an unfinished karmic connection from a past life. Seek out the village with an ancient banyan tree, and there you will find the answer." Anne woke up, feeling the dream was very real. She decided to find the village in her dream. When she arrived, she saw an ancient banyan tree, just like in her dream. Under the tree, she met an old monk, the very monk who had helped Thean attain enlightenment. The monk smiled and said, "Anne, you are the one Thean always longed for. In a past life, you were lovers, but due to a tragedy, you were separated. In this life, you meet again to complete your unfinished karmic connection." Anne Mixup was surprised and moved. She remembered the strange dreams she had had, and she understood that Thean was the man in her dreams. She felt a deep connection with Thean, as if they had known each other for a long time. The monk continued, "Thean has been reborn into a family nearby. Go there, and you will meet again." Anne followed the monk's advice. She found the family the monk had indicated, and she met a young boy with a familiar face. She knew that it was Thean reborn. Anishai and the reborn Thean met again, and they felt a strange bond. They practiced together and helped others, continuing to write their love story. They understood that karmic connections are a continuous cycle, and love can transcend time and space. After Anne found Thean reborn, the boy named Min, they began a new life together. Anna chemistry, companion, teacher, and elder sister. She taught him lessons of compassion, patience, and wisdom that she had learned from the old monk and from vague memories of her past life. Min, though young, had a deep understanding of life and people. He had a kind heart, always willing to help others. Min remembered memories of his past life, of Thean's life, and he felt a great responsibility to continue the path of practice and good deeds. Together, they built a small charity center in the village, where they helped the poor, sick, and lonely, and used her knowledge and experience to teach the children in the village, while Minch used his special ability to heal the sick. Their reputation spread far and wide, and people from all over came to seek help. They never turned anyone away, whether they were poor or rich, good or bad. They believed that everyone had the opportunity to change and start a new life. One day, a wealthy man named Hoang came to the charity center. He was a powerful and arrogant man, but he was facing a terminal illness. He had heard of Min's healing abilities, and he came seeking help. Min looked at Homong with compassionate eyes and said, "Mr. Homong, your illness comes not only from the body but also from the soul. You need to change your way of life, let go of arrogance and selfishness, and live a virtuous life." Hoang was surprised by Min's words. He had never met a child who spoke to him like that. He thought about Min's words, and he began to realize his mistakes. From then on, Hoang began to change. He used his wealth to help the poor, build schools and hospitals. He became a kind and humble person. Anne and Min continued their life of practice and good deeds. They understood that life is a series of karmic connections, and every action has an impact on the future. They vowed to live a virtuous life, creating good karmic connections for themselves and those around them. Years passed, and Anne and Min Carter became respected and beloved people. They had helped thousands of people, and they had inspired many others to live meaningful lives. One day, Anand and Min Kimish sat together under the ancient banyan tree where they had first met. They looked at each other and smiled, and they knew that they had fulfilled their mission. They had continued their love story, and they had created a better world.